I wanted to share a few thoughts. You can see my completed dinner over there. I'm in a motel room in an undisclosed location right now. I'm going to share some thoughts about recovering celibacy. And when I mean celibacy, I mean voluntary celibacy, volcel. And I also mean chaste celibacy. So how does one restore oneself to a state of celibacy later on in life, after not living a life of celibacy for much of one's adult existence? I think a big part of the secret of what the trick is, if you will, is to remember yourself in your childhood and early adolescent days. Before you had a sex drive, before, there might have been some rudimentary sex drive there, but you didn't think to yourself, most children, if they're living a proper sort of childhood anyway, they, if you're 8, 9, 10, 11, even 12, you don't think to yourself, oh, I'm just, I don't have a girlfriend. I don't even have a girlfriend. What kind of life am I living here? You don't think to yourself, how can I fulfill my needs, my my needs as a man. You have a full life, but it doesn't include that. You do so many things. I'm remembering my childhood just being loaded with activity, and fun activity. And there wasn't, when I think of it now, there wasn't a sense of being held back. There wasn't a sense of, oh, if only I could go, if I could only do this, then everything would be complete, everything would fall into place, and I would have a happy, fulfilled, sense of completion in my life, just because you didn't do sex, and you didn't think about having a girlfriend, and how your life is so incomplete because you're not doing those kinds of things. That just doesn't occur to you in those years. So one has to recover that mindset, that sense of things, that you are still, it's not a question of sackcloth and ashes. It's not a question of you've got to get off of the mentality of, oh, I'm giving this up, and I'm making this sacrifice, and always thinking of it that way. Instead, you just think to yourself, I'm living a complete, fulfilled, well, maybe not fulfilled. I don't know if any of us actually feels complete fulfillment in our adult lives, but it's just not thinking in terms of, oh, I'm doing without this one part of life. It's thinking in terms of, I'm doing all of these other things, and I'm I'm living a life that is dedicated to the pursuit of intellectual ideas, of adventure, of spiritual tasks, of quests of one kind or another, however you envision those. And I'm still experiencing the full palette of human emotions. In the same way that I was when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. I was then experiencing the full palette of human emotions. Granted, those were the emotions of a child. Now you're an adult. So it's a bit different in a certain way. But I have just found that when you reframe it to mean these are the things that I am doing, rather than these are the things that I've given up, these are the things that I'm abstaining from doing. I'm living this life of doing without. If you think in those terms, then you will never be free. You will always be bound to this thing that part of you thinks that you want or thinks that you need. Even if the better part of you, given that you've made this decision based on rational grounds, given that you've made this decision based on life circumstances or what have you, whatever they may be, and those decisions are reasonable. People throughout all of history have made reasonable decisions to live celibately, as opposed to being married or seeking the married life. Those are the two choices that you have, if you to be the two possible choices that you have that are allowed, that are on the menu, as it were, theologically speaking, that are allowable. Living the life of a bed hopping bachelor, that's not on the menu. Even if you would want to do it, which it has no that kind of life really has no interest to me. It's something I can't fathom doing. It's something that I wouldn't ever be able to see myself doing. But given that the other two choices are marriage or celibacy, if you opt for the second of those choices for good reasons, then don't let anybody second guess you. Don't let anybody try to tell you, oh, you need to pursue married life. You need a companion. Well, companions are fine for some, but not for others. And if, again, you have made that choice, and it's a reasonable choice based on lots of things, based on life circumstances, whatever it is. Then I think it's important to frame it in your mind in a way that's positive, not in the sense of I'm giving this up, but in the sense of I'm pursuing this. The celibate life is thus not defined as I don't get to do this thing that I want to do, but rather I'm doing all of these things that I do want to do, and that bring happiness and joy, and I'm living life to its fullest in my own way, even if that way doesn't involve orgasms. The orgasm is overrated. I'm not putting it down. I'm not saying the orgasm is bad. I'm just saying people who think that what you need for happiness is to have regular orgasms with another person. They don't know a whole lot about human happiness, because there are a hell of a lot of people who regularly have orgasms with other people who are the most miserable sods you've ever met. It's not bringing them closer to happiness. It's not bringing them closer to fulfillment. So, again, I just wanted to say that again, and this is just me speaking from my own personal experience, from my own thinking about these kinds of things. Somebody who was married, and now is celibate again. This is the way to think about it. And there are, if the crisis that we're facing, that they were talking about, the male loneliness crisis, is real, then there's going to be other men who will have to come to terms with this. And I'm not telling anybody this is what you should do. What I'm saying is, if you feel that your circumstances make it the prudent choice, then this is the way to frame it in your mind. And when you frame it that way in your mind as a positive thing, not as a doing without, but as a embracing of life in its own way, in its own fashion, in its own style, that doesn't involve marriage or the pursuit of a mate, then you have an easier time with the kind of those who would try to vex you, or those thoughts that vex you from occasionally, like that where they try to tell you, or where the part of you inside of yourself that whines, but I should have somebody to be with. I'm going to be lonely. Well, remind yourself that some of the loneliest people in the world are married people. Some of the loneliest people in the world are people who have had a lot of sex. There's nothing about abstaining from sex that makes you lonely, ipso facto, in and of itself. Again, think of yourself as a 10-year-old. you didn't think my life is incomplete right now because I don't have a girlfriend when you were 10 years old. So now you're whatever, 35, 45, 55, 65, whatever you may be. It's later in life. Same rules apply. No reason why you can't feel that same way about your own life. At whatever age you are, and there's no reason why you shouldn't live the life according to the lights that that you have been given, that you have discerned are as being the best, the most advantageous, the most prudent, and the most sensible way of living your life. That is the celibate life. Thank you for watching.